sobriety and how I faced my demons. Admitting that I had trouble drinking was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. I mean, who really likes admitting their flaws? We always want to talk and focus on our beautiful parts, not on our demons or shadow self. I could not accept the fact that I had a problem. I already felt very different from others, different from my friends, family, etc. And I could not understand why I had a problem with it, but others around me could handle it. I never wanted to be different. I wanted to blend in with everyone else. The first time I drank, I can't even remember. I had to be 7. However, this was just sneaking drinks when no one was looking. The problem started maybe when I was 12 because I learned what it felt like to have a buzz. I liked that feeling, and I really liked escaping from reality and my problems. When I look back, I was so young to realize that blacking out from drinking is not normal when you're just a kid, but what do you really know then about alcoholism, etc.? And I remember even in my teens getting drunk, so drunk that I could not walk. I went to my first rehab at 17. However, I didn't stay long enough in order for it to really work. I just stayed a few weeks. One of the other reasons I was there wasn't just for my drinking. I drank so much one day. A guy that I really trusted almost raped me, and I remember him putting a knife to my throat, but I kept seeing those images everywhere, so I begged my parents to please put me in a rehab. And when I got out of rehab, I didn't totally stay clean. I still had some slip-ups. However, the best thing that happened to me is I got pregnant at 18, and I stayed clean, totally clean when I was pregnant because I was so worried about the child. I was completely sober the whole pregnancy. Once I became a mom, I realized I was responsible for someone else's life, not just my own anymore. And I feel that my child saved me in so many ways. Her name is Kaylee, and I always remember when she was born, I felt so blessed and so lucky. She has no idea just how much she really did help me. I tried harder, and I found counselors to get help. I was enrolled in college, and for the first time, I really cared about my grades in school and doing good in school and really trying to be a good mom. Things started out great, but every now and then, I would get a babysitter and I would go out, and not always to get drunk. Sometimes I could control it, but, it wasn't very often that I went out. But at first, I was able to maintain a job, going to college, and raising a child. I thought I could handle things. I was what you would call a functional alcoholic. I did not like having alcohol in the house once my child was born. I didn't want to promote it to my kid or, my children. I ended up having a second child. I have 2 kids. I did not want that kind of life for them. I did my best to hide it. However, the more life threw at me, the more it became harder to hide my demons. It was hard once I became a single mom of 2 kids to really keep up with working, going to school, socializing, etc. I went to college throughout my life in different degrees or licenses or certifications, and I found it was hard to keep up with everything. So at times my counseling took a back seat, to work, kids, etc., and everything else I had going on, socializing. So that began to take a real toll on me. You can only try to quiet your demons or your shadow side for so long. However, they kept resurfacing. I remember certain instances where a certain family member kept putting me down. It's no excuse whatsoever to go out and drink, but it just added fuel to my fire that was already burning out of control. At some point during my life, I lost my identity. I feel I was so busy, taking care of others or work, going to school, doing all these things, worrying about people, that I lost myself. I hung out with the wrong crowds, and I didn't realize it until one night I was out with a man I thought that had my best interests, but he only had his own best interests at heart. He was supposed to drive me home this one night many years ago. Not really sure. I think it was like 2012. I'll never forget that night, though. it was only one of the first nights I had. It doesn't compare, what happened to me 3 years ago, but back in 2012, I really liked music. I loved dancing and everything, and I was out with this guy. He not only promised me he would give me a ride, but he promised my sister and my friends. I remember my sister asked him so many times, "Are you going to bring her home?" And he kept saying, "Sure, no problem." Another thing I didn't realize until it was too late is the bartender was putting extra shots in my drink. He told me later in the night, he said he was helping me so I wouldn't have to keep coming up to the bar. And then the so-called guy that promised me did not come through with a ride. He said he didn't like my behavior and how I was acting, and he didn't, I don't know, he said something like he didn't drive there and he couldn't drive. And he was having some other guy drive him, his friend, I guess. And to make a long story short, his friend didn't give me a ride. Neither one of them wanted to, so they ended up leaving me. I couldn't get a hold of anyone at that point, so I attempted to drive. I ended up getting a DUI. That was awful. It was embarrassing, and I lost my license for a year. I was constantly in court for that year. I lost so much money on attorney fees and court fees. It really bothered me. I decided to go to outpatient therapy at a rehab. It was only supposed to be 6 months, but I wanted to stay there longer. I stayed for almost 2 years. It was a year and a half because I love my counselor. She helped me see things that I could not see for myself. She asked me so many good questions. She got to the real problems. She helped me realize I never liked the taste of alcohol. I like the buzz and I like the escape of it. She helped me figure out what I was actually running from and what was making me want to drink. She helped me learn acceptance. My biggest battle was admitting I had a problem. I did not want to admit that. I kept saying, no, it's not me, until finally my counselor helped me accept the fact that I am an alcoholic. And I never liked that word either. It just has a stigma to it too. But she helped me see it's okay. It's okay to admit that. It's not at all a thing to be ashamed of. That I should actually be proud of myself for actually getting the help that I needed. At least I was trying to better myself in my life. I was always so hard on myself. In the midst of this sobering journey, I found writing again and journaling, and I started really channeling my creative side. That's why I am writing this and talking about this. Writing and telling my story releases it. It releases my feelings, so I don't try to hide them anymore, and I don't try to hide from myself anymore. Addictions are a never-ending process. What really made me want to write this is I just picked up the phone today to get a counselor again for alcohol. I already have a counselor for mental health. However, it's been a few years since I've been to a counselor for alcoholism. I have been clean now. I can't even really remember anymore. I want to say 7 years, I think, that was the last drink that I had. But, what really helped besides counseling, because counseling was my number one help, definitely. But what else helped was moving out of state. The saying, people, places, and things can really trigger and, help you relapse. It's very true. When I moved out of state, I started a whole new sober life. The first thing I would say when I met people is, "Hey, I'm Kelly, and I don't drink." Because the first thing people say to you is, "Hey, let's go out for a drink." I stopped going to places like bars or anywhere where there would be alcohol. I did whatever I could for myself to try to stay clean. Now, during COVID, it's a triggering time for everyone. And to everyone listening, I hope you're safe. And if you are struggling like I was, I hope you reach out to someone. Honestly, the best thing in my situation was seeking out help from a trained professional for their advice, a counselor, because counseling really helped me. Thanks for listening.